So, welcome to the session about how to customize your Drupal application or website or whatever with Entity API. And yeah. So it's just short about me. My name is Ivica. I'm a Drupal developer from a company named Montana Soft that is based in Vienna, and most of the day, if not all of the day, we are doing only Drupal, developing custom Drupal modules, complex Drupal sites, and etc. Okay, so first a little introduction what we are going to do on this session. This will not be standard Entity API Drupal session, where I will talk about what is Entity API, some theory or whatever. No, we will actually try to build, if time allows us, we'll try to build one full small web application, which primary goal will be travel shares. I don't know, did you use or see some site about travel shares? Basically, it's when you have some event like this Drupal camp in Ljubljana, you have a bunch of people that are coming from I don't know, from Ljubljana, from Croatia, from Serbia, from all over Europe, and they are coming by car, by bus, whatever, and usually they want to share or whatever their ride with somebody else, right? So this web application will be about that. We'll quickly build the one travel share sites with Entity API. So what we need in this, on our travel share sites. So we have users, actually maybe I can use this. Okay, we will have users on our sites that can create travel shares. Then we will have other users that can comment on travel shares that first users created. For example, oh, I want to come, or ask some other questions and synchronize with that travel share. Our travel shares will have properties, and this will not be fields, it will be properties. I don't know, do you know the difference between fields and properties? If not, please ask. First, are you familiar with entities, Entity API? Most of you are good. So we'll use properties and not fields. And we will have properties like from, to, for example, we are going from Belgrade to Ljubljana. On that time, we have two spaces we want to share in our car or whatever. And for this application, we will need so two custom entities. One will be travel share, and the other one will be travel share comment, where other users can say, okay, that's good, I want to come with you guys. And why we need one more travel share comment entities here and not comment? Why are we not using comment from Drupal core? Because sadly in Drupal 7, you cannot, comment is hard-coded with nodes. You can only use comments with nodes, and they are refactoring that in Drupal 8. There is one contributed module called entity comments, I think. But for this example, we will show how it's very easy to create comments like behavior and functionality for our site. Now, one question that is arising all the time, client asks us or other people are asking me or whatever is, okay, cool, entities, whatever, but why do I need them? Why I'm just not using nodes like from Drupal 6, right? I can just have a new content type called travel share. attach a couple of fields there, and I have comments there, and everything will work. Yeah, it's true, it will work. But there are a couple of limitations. First, if you want to use nodes, you will have a lot of performance penalties because nodes are doing lots of stuff that usually you really don't need. Nodes are, let's say, optimized for one particular use case to build custom pages with them, with comments and all other stuff. And most of the time, like here, we really don't need that. So our site will behave much faster. Then if you wanted to use nodes, again, you're, let's say, limited to functionality that nodes are giving you. Sure, you can do all kind of hook alter this, hook alter that. That's fine, but again, that's additional stuff you need to do later. And it can become very complex and ugly if you have lots of models on your site. So you will, all that hook alter will again have performance penalties, and it's ugly code on the end. So I guess that's the two reasons. And one more, of course, if you're doing everything with entities, you have really full control about what are you doing through your code. And that's, at least for me, very nice. Okay, so I'll just quickly explain what Entity API is. So in any use case, is it a custom website you're building or some custom web application with some custom business logic behind, you have data or lots of data which you need to reuse in your Drupal site. So all the data you need to somehow store in some tables in Drupal, and you also need to tell Drupal and Drupal core and contributors models how they will use your custom data. And if you're using Entity API, it's really becoming very easy because almost automatically, without any additional work, you will get for free integration with views, rules, tokens, and every other contributor model that is using entities for their stuff. Okay? And there is really a nice introduction about entities on this link. So if you're not sure what entities and Entity API is really doing, so go to that link, read it, and you will be much more clear after that. Right, so let's start. First, let's quickly see what we are going to use for our travel share site or web application. We really don't need that much. Must-have stuff, we really just need Drupal core with menu and blocks modules, okay? And we need entity contributed model that is extending Drupal 7 Entity API and give us a lot of more features that we will need. And that's basically it. That's all you need to build one site like this. All other stuff, like fields, ctools, views, rules, admin menu, some Gmap free tools, we will see what that is. We are just using that to extend functionality. For example, we don't really want to render our travel share entities manually to do some table with pager. We will use views for that. Or we really don't want to code some email notification when some travel share is created on site or some comment for that travel share, but we will use rules for that and similar. And one more thing, we will use some automatic code generators. So two models, Genova and Genova Entity. Genova is it's a code generator where you can generate Drupal code from Drush, okay? And Genova Entity is extending Genova, so it's give you feature to create your entity model just with one Drush command. Okay, so you type one Drush command, define a couple of variables, and that's it. You will get the full skeleton entity model for you, ready to just implement your custom business logic, and that's it. So first thing, of course, you download Drupal, install it with minimal installation profile or whatever profile you want. In this situation, we'll use minimal profile. And we will download and enable a couple of modules that will extend our features on our site. And we will use Git here, because it's, anyway, you will use a Git or some other version system in your project, but here we will use it to easily see changes we are doing in the code. I will show you quickly. Okay, and now we'll actually do much more coding. So I'll show you. First, is there some question for now? Okay, cool. So here is Drupal site that are prepared with minimal installation profile and a couple of modules that I just installed, like admin menu and views and similar. Here's our code for our Drupal site, right? And now let's see the next step. So Entity API is really cool. The problem is that you really need to know a bit about Entity API to use it properly. So there is 5-6 classes you need to define for your custom entities, and also a couple of hooks, and nothing really special. It's mostly copy-paste and changing with your custom stuff. But it's kind of boring and time-consuming, so we'll use code generators for that, right? So let's see example first, how we will create our travel share custom entity, right? So first off, we'll use, so Genova entity is adding one additional Drush command, this one, probably generate entity module something, never mind. So let's try with that. Okay, so I'm on travel share site, and sorry. Okay, and let's execute Drush generate entity travel share. So this is of course, your model name, which in this case travel share. And now this Drush command is asking us for a couple of variables that it needs, so it can generate all code that we need. So first is enter human readable model name. I will change this to, let me see, to travel share, right? Module description, travel share custom entity, fine for this demo. Enter entity class name. Usually travel share is good for this. And enter base entity menu path, travel share. So this is a menu path variable that the Genova entity model will use when generating hook menu, and also all menu items for admin section. You will see soon, like for bundles creation, field UI, admin pages, and similar. And we will leave it on travel share. And now we get the message. Model travel share created at this path. So it will not create this module in site all modules, but it will create it in site all scaffolding. So you can check the code And if you're happy with the current auto-generated code, you just move this to recitals. So here I'm using all contributed models. I will put in contrib, recital models contrib. So these are all models that I downloaded from Drupal.org for this demonstration. So all contributed models that I need for this site to function properly, and all custom models I will put in recital model custom. This is just a convention to easily, separate contrib models that you're using from your custom models that you're coding. Right, and now let's see actually how that looks. I think I will need to. Okay. Let's try this. Okay, I managed to kill NetBeans. I will restart it. Good. Right, so here is our travel share site in NetBeans project. Okay. I'll just add this quickly to Git so it doesn't stand our way. Okay, cool. So let's check our current code state of our travel share model that was auto-generated by Genova entity for us. Let's start from travel share info. So you see all that couple of variables we defined that Genova entity will reuse to nicely create all defaults for us. So module name, description, dependencies. It will create a couple of entity classes that we need. I will explain it quickly a little later what each class is used for. And it will generate some pretty default views integration and one views handler for us. Let's go. Okay, also here it will create a nice travel share install file for us. So on this module install, we'll automatically get one travel share bundle. Everybody knows bundles, what they are. Actually, is there somebody that doesn't know what bundle is? Okay, so okay, you have a car, okay, for example, car entity, and now you want to have a let's say minivan, sport car, this car, that car type. These are bundles actually. So entities, let's say base model for your cars, and all these bundles are like custom car types on your site. and each card type or any entity bundle can have different fields, different display configuration, and so on. Right. For this application, we only need one bundle, Travel Share. We have a nice pre-default Travel Share install hook defined. This is the most important stuff. So Genova entity will define a couple of tables for you. Most importantly, Travel Share table, which is a base table for your custom entity. Here we will store all our custom properties. By default, you will get a couple of predefines that you probably will want to use. You definitely need, most of the time, you need a primary ID for your custom data type. This is a bundle type I just talked. User ID, this is can be whatever you want. In this situation, we will use it to connect Travel Share entity with the user that created this Travel Share, right? When it's created, last time when it's changed, and it will define one additional property, title, which you can use, probably not, it's here only, so you can, when you're inspecting code, you can figure it out quickly how to add your additional properties. So another table we need is a Travel Share type, where Drupal will store custom bundles for this Travel Share entity if you want them. So most of the stuff here you actually don't need to know. Defaults are pretty good. The only thing you will change is here. You will here add your custom field tables. No, tables in field. No, field in your table, right? So like from, to, and stuff like that. We will see it soon. One nice cool feature you also have from out of the box, you have a revision system that is fully working, so all your custom entities that you will build with this Genova or with your custom entity API coding will have a full revision support, which we probably don't need for this example, but let's leave it so we can see how it works. Okay, let's go next. So there is a bunch of stuff here, but very quickly we get a nice hook menu implementation with all create, read, update, delete actions we need for our custom Travel Share entity. If you need a configuration screen for your Travel Share entity, you get one out of the box or just delete it. Okay, hook entity, for this is the most important part, and again, you will probably not want to change a lot here or any. We are just here telling Drupal about our two custom entities, Travel Share and Travel Share type, which is used for bundles, for custom bundles. I will, because there is a lot of code I need to show, I will quickly scroll down through all of this, but if there are any question, just feel free to ask, okay? What is, oh, okay, here is also interesting stuff. Here you will probably do your work. You know, when you have a, let's say, a custom content type on your Drupal site, right? For example, page or a blog. Let's say it's a blog. And you know, in field admin user interface, you have manage fields, right? Where you add your fields, and manage display, where you can reorder your fields. And that's work out of the box for fields. When you add additional fields, you will always have them in that two administration screen. But for properties which are only in a table, they're not fields. These are just columns in your table, right? You need to tell Drupal about them, and you're telling Drupal on a couple of places. Here also, hook field, extra fields. When you define, like here, our title property, if you remember in install, we have one out-of-the-box property title. If you want this property to show on the same admin screens, field UI and manage display, you need to define them here, and they will be presented there. So site administrator can hide them, reorder them, or whatever. What else? You get two very simple out-of-the-box permissions: administer Trello share and use Trello share. That's all we need here for this demo site, but you can add your additional permissions if you need it. Okay, these are all hooks. Now a couple of API calls. This is the only important one that you will probably change. So here you will define a custom access permission system in your web application, right? So you first define your permissions, and here you will tell, oh, this user with this role can do this or can do that. We will see a little later how we will change this for our Trello share site. All other calls are really just wrappers for a Trello share entity loading, saving, deleting, and stuff like that. This is the only one helper actually method function, Trello share export. If you ever, and you probably did, when you have views, right, on your site, there is two ways how to export your views. One is to use features, right? And you transfer that feature to some other site, enable it, and you get your views there. The other one, if you pay attention, if you maybe saw on the views administration screen, there is an export button, right? For you define some view, click export, and you will get one very big text, and that text you need to place somewhere. So in your model, so this view, when somebody downloads this Trello share, for example, site, Trello share model, and enable it, he will get that view automatically out of the box. The only problem with that is if you have a couple of views, it quickly become very ugly because views will export all the views into, again, one giant text. So you will have 3 or 5 views in one text, and it's quickly becoming ugly because somebody will change something in one view, somebody will change something in another view, people will get conflicts, and it's hard to maintain. This little helper function allows you to separate your custom views per file. So one view go to one file. You'll quickly saw it, but if we have 2 views for our Trello share site, we can separate them into 2 files, and that is a little easier for managing. Right. What else? Some basic views implementation. So this is what I was talking. You get one Trello share view int empty file here, where you can copy-paste your default view, which will quickly demonstrate. Here, let me do like this. So if you ever did some custom views coding, you probably define some views hook. Most of the time you need some field that is rendering your custom data a little different or whatever. usually you define some couple of hooks and you specify your views handlers there, but here not. Actually, Entity API is giving you something that is called Entity Default Views Controller, which is a helper class. And with that class, if you are going to use it, it's a little easier to define your custom views handler. So here you only need to, Genome entity will actually do it automatically for you. It will add you one custom views handler, which is more like a demo to you to show you how to add your additional handlers. And this handler is here, travel share handler field operation, nothing special really. It's just add you one additional field with edit, view, and delete links. So you can reuse that field in your travel share custom views if you want. But the really, oops, not here, but here, main Entity API custom stuff is happening here. Okay, so there is 4 classes. You will see it quickly. Travel share controller, travel share entity, travel share info, travel share UI controller. This one is just a bunch of functions that defines travel share view and edit form, right? So let's start from the most basic one, travel share entity class. So each your custom entity needs to either use default entity class that is coming from a Drupal core, or you extend this class and do your custom stuff there. Usually it's a good practice to define all your custom properties here. Why? Well, at least what you will get auto completion out of the box in your editor, whatever editor you're using. Also, there are some performance benefits. PHP will much faster generate these classes, actually object of your classes, entity classes, if you define these properties the other way around. And this stuff here is really just, let me close a couple of stuff we don't need. So these are all properties of this travel share class are all just reflected fields in your travel share table. So ID type, UID create change title. This one, you probably want to leave it to true in Entity API if your travel share object that you are currently using in your code, if you flag it with is new revision, when you save it, Entity API will automatically create a new revision in travel share revision table for you. So everything happen automatically, and if you want to use revisions for your custom entities, you will want to leave it to this set to true, and just implement a couple of protected function, default label, and default your URI. Right. Any question for now? Did anybody use this stuff before? Just one. Okay. And no question for now. Everything's clear. Yeah, shoot. Sure, it's up to you, really. If you currently this genome entity is a little stupid. You cannot say template system. It's currently very rigid. Let's say it doesn't allow if-else stuff. So I cannot easily say. I cannot easily ask you, oh, do you want revision system? You say no, and all this custom code, custom table, and this stuff just gone. Currently, no. You need to manually delete it, but again, it's very easy. Just you delete the table here and delete this, and I think one more places. Here, maybe here. Yeah, just remove anything revision, and that's it. And you don't have revision anymore. But it's up to you, your custom business logic actually. Do you need or not revisions? That's it.
So it's not enough just to set close, we also need to delete.
It's enough, but you will have one additional table that will be empty, I guess. Not a big deal, right? Actually, yeah.
This is generated by general.
Yeah, all this code.
Also manually.
Yeah, sure. All this code you are seeing here, I didn't code anything. It's just one rush command and that 4 variables you set, and you get everything out of the box working and showing you nicely some best practices, how to organize your code and stuff like that. At least I hope they are best practices. Right. Yep.
How do you take care of Drupal coding standards when you generate this code?
Well, so this is this general entity model, right? And it has a folder called templates, right? Here's the template for your module. So this is travel share, so this is a template for travel share.module file, right? And I just write them in Drupal coding standard, right? Yeah, there is, for checking, right?
XML, where there are all the rules. So for the coder, the coding style that we use there. So maybe you can grab those rules and use them for your code.
Yeah, but I guess coding standards are.
Taking care of all the processes that.
Yeah. Yeah, because this template file, you only need to write it once, right? And that's it. And Drupal coding standard is not something that will change every 6 months or whatever. So, well, yeah, it would be a good idea to, for example, take this automatically generated travel share module and run it through Coder and check if there are some errors, and then just edit template files, and that's it. Yeah. Okay. Back to the travel share stuff. So this was entity. The next very important thing is a controller. So you have an entity class, travel share, for example, which you are using for storing data. Actually, you are describing your properties there. Like here we defined our public properties that we are going to use. And we can add here a business logic if we have it. But controller, you're really using only for 2 things. When you want to create your custom entity, so here's a method now that creates your travel share entity object, and it will pre-populate it with some stuff like created property. It will set it to current time, change also, and UID, we are just giving it a current logged user ID here. Then save, again, very easy. We just modify change attributes, so with the time when this entity is saved. And we leave everything else to default entity API controller implementation. So all your create, save, load, and delete stuff happens here, right? If you have some custom code that you need to add on these events, you will write them here. And there is, you just go to entity API controller and check default implementation. So here's the load function. If you want to, if something is not okay for your custom business stuff you are writing, you just override load method, and that's it, right? So that was the first part. So controller is taking care of create, read, delete, and the fourth stuff. I forgot what it is. Update, I guess. And display. So we have a travel share entity. When we want to render it somewhere, for example, travel share /1, if its ID is 1, this method will take care of rendering that travel share ID1 entity. And currently, by default, we have that one dummy property called title, and here, so it's also using Drupal render arrays, right? We are not generating just one text which will return. We're actually generating Drupal render arrays here, which will return, and Drupal will take care of rendering that array for us. And on the end, we will get rendered travel share entity, right? You follow me for now? Cool. This stuff here, I will just note, it's important to be on the end. If you remember that talk, you have your properties, like title. You want to expose that properties in admin user interface. You know, you want to hide it in manage display or reorder it, whatever. It will happen here, right? So you define here actual value of that property you want to render, and then this parent will content stuff. It will do two things. It will reorder or hide your properties based on current display configuration. It will also attach all fields that are attached to this entity in field UI, for example. So if some site admin said, oh, that's cool, I have all these properties in travel share, but I need one additional some field, right? There's two solutions there. He will either add it through code, add one additional DB field, blah, 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 whatever, probably not, or he will just fire a field UI and through there add that field 1 or fields he needs for his custom site. And it all happens here, right? And that's why you need to leave it on the end. So Drupal can do all that custom magic after your custom properties, right? So that was travel share controller. What else? Travel share MetaDataController class looks really simple, but it's doing a ton of helper stuff for you behind. So you have your properties, right, in database. Currently, we have a couple of them, title, ID, created, change the time, and stuff like that. Now, you want to expose this property to other Drupal contributed models that are doing their stuff with entities. Most importantly, this is views, rules, tokens, and whatever. So if you want to, for example, create a view that is listing travel shares on your site, but it's displaying only fields and only, for example, title field. In order to define that view, you need to in entity property info method, define all these properties one more time to explain to other modules what these properties are. But luckily, default implementation will just take all your properties from your table that you define in schema file or whatever. What's the name? Yeah, here. It will just scan this and we'll just say, oh, here are the properties, let's pre-populate them, and I know to do everything if property is text and integer. For all other stuff, I'm not sure, so like here, it's created time is defined like integer. Drupal entity API cannot know it's a date, right? So you need to tell him here, changed property and created property, these are dates. When you set this to date, then in your view, for example, view will note, oh, this field is a date. What format for date you want to use, right? It will not be now a simple integer, but we'll have all that date fancy stuff that you can reuse here. Okay, and that was MetaDataController stuff. The last controller is a little ugly, but luckily you will not want to probably change anything here. This controller, TravelShare UI controller, it's responsible for all admin user interface on your site. So if you have a TravelShare entity, all backend admin, field UI, manage display, bundle pages, all are managed here. So you'll want to leave this like it is now. Now let me check time. Oh, so I will need to speed up now a little bit, sorry. Any question for now? There was one more file, TravelShare pages ints. So here only a TravelShare form where you define your stuff for your entity, like form title, add function, view function, and that's it. Delete, it's everything here. If you want to change that, you are changing it here, right? That's it. Any question? Yeah, everything that you saw was generated with one dash command. Cool.
If you don't want, let's say, you don't want that all your entities to use, there an option to not do it, or you just delete it?
Yeah, you could, if you really want some property not to be displayed in a view, I guess you will say here unset properties, not this one, right? And that's it. It will not be in a view, yeah. Some other question?
Does Nova generate a single custom entity page with the URL?
Yeah. Yeah. So there was just so module hook menu, right? So here are all add URL, view URL, edit URL, everything is there, right? For you to use it. And if you remember when we, where was it? Yeah, here. We defined the menu path, TravelShare. So that's this TravelShare here, right? So the menu path you defined there, it will reuse it here.
How is it, can you use code-related modules for widgets that you normally build?
Yeah, I will show any field that exists in Drupal, whatever, you can add to your custom entities, yeah. And actually node is the entity also, right? Yeah, I didn't test it really, but yeah. If it's possible through Entity API, I guess it is. I didn't add support for internalization here, but if you know, you can add your code here, yeah. Right, so let's speed quickly now. Next stuff. Oops, sorry. So we've done this. So all this big talk about that auto-generated code, and now we want to add our custom stuff, right? So I will go quickly now. Luckily, I created, I will not code it now. I would need 3 hours for that. I will just quickly copy-paste each step, but I will show you what are the changes. So step one is we're going to add our custom business logic now to our TravelShare entity. All this auto-generated code is cool, but we need to add now our own stuff here. So I'll just delete this. And let's see what we changed, I hope. So this is why I'm using it. We can visually see easily what's been changed. So I added a couple of properties in database table. From place to place, when this travel share will happen, what is the type of travel share? Are you going with a car, bus, whatever, plane? Offer type, are you searching for travel share or you are offering travel share, right? What's the estimated cost? What's your contact name, mail address, your mobile phone, blah, blah, blah. Any stuff you need for your custom stuff, you first define database fields here, right? Next. What to change in model. So if you remember, this is travel share field, extra fields. Here you are telling Drupal about your custom properties. Here exactly you're telling, this is my custom properties, please display them in fields UI and in manage display section, right, admin section. So site admin can reorder it, hide it, whatever. So nothing special really. Name of your, for example, from place, it's the same like in database table. And some label description and current order position. That was for the field UI admin display, and this is for then manage display stuff, right? What else? I defined some custom access logic. Here, just some dummy stuff. You're free to define your own based on your use case. This is kind of a little important. So we have two properties that are a little special. One is the travel share type, and the other one is travel share offer type. So they can be simple text fields when user will enter car or big car or whatever. But if you want to limit them and give them a select box, you will do like this, not because of the form API. You will see later we just define form select element for this, but for the views and other stuff. And for the entity wrappers, I will show you a little later how it works. But let's just say if you have a property that is option-based, right, like this one, you will want to define these two callbacks. And I will show you quickly where these callbacks will be called. Actually, I will say to you right now, and we don't have too much time, sorry. We'll skip this. What else? Controller. Again, this is our display stuff when we are just rendering our custom properties. What else? We added our custom properties to travel share entity. Yeah, here it is. So this travel type, offer type, we are defining option list callbacks. And this will tell Drupal what are our possible options for these two properties. And here we define our form for all this. And now let's see, validate, blah, blah, blah. Let's see, will this work? Dash enable travel share. Yeah, because I didn't, sure. I badly prepared my demo, so there is already a table there. Let's try to quickly remove it. Okay, cool. Okay. And one more. Right. Sorry about this. Okay, I screwed my demo now. Try one more time. 70. Okay, I have 5 minutes. I can reinstall all this stuff and show you how it works, or I can continue with slides. What do you want? And I can talk later and show you guys other stuff that I will skip now. Two interesting people. So you want to continue with slides? So the same way, okay, I can skip to presentation now. So the same way we define travel share entity, we'll define travel share comment entity. Same way, we have a drush generate travel share comment, define human readable name, description, entity class, travel share comment. This is the important part, menu path for hook menus, and that's it. And again, we'll add some couple of stuff, nothing special, to that travel share comment. Our custom business logic there. Use integration. Nothing special there really. When you define your entities with entity API like this, you will out of the box get full views integration. So you can create travel share and travel share comments views without any problems. You also have, let me quickly show you that. One important stuff. So that's a step 3, right? All right. So our travel share comment. Nothing special there except this. Each comment has, of course, a reference to travel share base entity, which it belongs. And how do you tell Drupal and views and all this stuff that these two entities are connected? Well, actually, very easily. If you remember travel share comment info, MetaDataController class, right here. So here, you very easily tell Drupal, look, I have a travel share comment entity, and it relates to 2 other entities now here. One is the user, that's the user that created this travel share comment, and you just say, okay, this property is of the type user. This is actually a Drupal entity, user ID. Right? No, Drupal entity name, it's user. And the other one is travel share. So this travel share comment has a property called travel share, which is actually of entity type travel share. And Drupal or views or whatever, please use this field to actually connect these 2 entities, right? And when you do like this, you can say, okay, I want to list all travel share comments, but for some special entity, like for some special travel share entity with ID 1. So you will go to relations, view relations, you know, and there you will add a new relations from travel share comment to travel share, and you can do that just because of this. And then in context filter section, you will say, okay, only for travel share, which has this ID, which I will reuse from URL, right? Need to go, okay. And I guess that's it. This one I will skip now. Rules integration out of the box, the same like views. Fields integration, again, the same like for everything else. You can add custom fields or fields UI to your custom entities. That's it, question and answers. Fields. You can use features for deploy. Yeah, whatever you want actually. This is nothing really a Drupal, some special stuff. Users, nodes, I don't know, comments maybe, whatever, taxonomy, yeah. These are all entities. Everything you can do with them, you can do with your custom entities, right? Export to features. You define your travel share, right? With the custom fields, you export to your travel share bundle to feature and deploy to some other site. Other questions? Well, you could actually maybe use backup and migrate. No. What's the name of that modules for export import? It's let's talk about. I will answer it. I can. It's there is a module called for import export stuff. What's the name? Feeds. So you can, with feeds, export content types and then import in travel share entity. You just define a configuration for that and it will work. That's it. Any other questions? So just, I will be here. And if you're interested,